right, look, you ready now?
I'm ready. Right here.
Yeah, right here. Welcome to At the Table.
Yes.
This is the second episode of Brick by Brick, a podcast by the Brownstone Experience, where we talk more with our covers about their business endeavors, where you are in life, whether it be from entrepreneurship or even in your career. And as we mentioned on the couch, you are a practicing attorney,
Yes.
amongst many other things. And so I'm so excited to talk about some of the state of where we are in America, some of the work you're doing at the local level. So welcome again, Moshae.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
Again.
of course. Again, here we are. Yes. So we mentioned before how you are sort of practicing not in a special area, but or a particular area, but you are going sort of where you're needed within the community. And so, in your own words, how are you feeling about our communities today?
I honestly, and I sometimes get in trouble for things that I say. I'm not feeling hopeful.
Good trouble.
I'm not feeling hopeful at all, because I feel like people don't know what's happening. Like they are just so tuned out and disengaged that they don't understand that so many rights are just being pulled from under us. And not just rights, but just our thinking as a society and how things come to be, that we accept that, you know, there are some racial inequalities. Those, just the idea that racial inequalities exist is being eradicated from our society through the curriculum, through the educational curriculum. When you take out the fact that Rosa Parks had to sit in the back because she was black, that she just had to sit in the back, what are you teaching children? Because now they don't understand that that was a racial issue. It just becomes an unfairness issue. But there's something very dangerous about children not understanding that racial injustice has caused us to be where we are. Yeah. And we see that happening in Florida, but Florida is kind of modeling itself to be the blueprint for America. And we're starting to see other states sort of follow that. In Alabama, some things are being removed from books, textbooks, things that, I mean, you would think that they're simple. Like I said, with Rosa Parks being black, I mean, she was a black woman. So imagine other things, critical race theory. We never even had that in Alabama, but now, you know, it's been removed, and it's been removed from college campuses who want public funding in Florida. And so things that are happening in other states, and it's like the states where the people who stand to be hurt the most are the ones who are not paying attention. So Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, even in Jackson in Mississippi, they basically, and this is a majority black city, they basically created like a super government to control Jackson, where the judges are not elected. So it's not a reflection of the community, it's not representative of the community. They're appointed by the state legislature that's white, and that is, you know, is a conservative superpower. And so they are appointing judges to govern this black city. They are appointing a special police force to govern this majority black city. And the votes are there. The votes were here for me when I ran for district attorney, but people don't really see the connection. Folks don't vote for many reasons, right? Like, I was never the one to judge or preach to people about not voting, because sometimes not voting is a position. But I think that people are just not understanding what is about to happen and what is happening. Because if they did, I think they would stand up. So being in Alabama as a black woman, as a lawyer, being positioned to fight in already, you know, an uneven, lopsided system, abortion rights, all of that, it just makes me feel like my shoulders, I'm like, where can I be black? You know, how would I feel if I were to live somewhere else? It makes me think of, were you a Love Craft Country fan?
No.
Well, there's an episode where Hippolyta, she was a mom, and her child was sick, and she had an opportunity to go into the multiverse. You know, in the multiverse, there are like different versions of yourself. So everything that she ever wanted to do, she was able to do it. She was a backup dancer for Josephine Baker. She was one of the soldiers in the army, like the woman king. She did all these things, and she had opportunities because of the setting. And so sometimes I think about that for myself, like, what would Oakland Moshae be? What would Ghana Moshae be? Like, where, you know, if I had a power structure or system that was not built for this group of people, but was more embracing and accepting of me, like, would I be happier? My house would probably cost more, but would I be happier?
Yes. And you know, we talked about that
Yes.
briefly, right? We talked about the property taxes in Texas where I live.
Yeah.
And I definitely do feel different. When we decided to move to Texas, we both said, let's move to a state where we've never lived before. We were in Alabama, born and raised in Alabama, and then we moved to Louisiana for 15 months, which we experienced a lot of racism. We were in a small town in Louisiana, and during the time in which Trump was elected the first time, during the time when Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown, you know, was all of that happened, and we couldn't speak on it at work, and it was very disturbing because I wanted to go to work and talk about what was going on with Trayvon. I would just pull up in the morning with my music blasted because that was my only way to, you know, sort of protest. But then moving to Dallas, as everything has happened, you know, since that time, you can come to work and you can talk about it, you know, amongst all people of color. So it definitely feels different. However, you can go just a few exits up and experience racism again, right? As we were talking about blue living in a red state. So it's still very much prevalent across the South. I'm very happy to visit Ghana later this year.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so, because I don't want to come back. Yes.
I've heard great things.
Yes. So I want to sort of double back when you mentioned practicing within the community, and when you talk about voting and your historic DA run. So let's talk about it, right? You did not win. Let's just put that out there for the people who are not from this area.
Right.
For me, I saw a map not too long after on the number of votes that were in the county. Is that right? The county?
It's the county, yes.
That were in the county. We had the votes from a minority. I don't want to just put it on us. I'm going to say from a minority perspective. We could have just won through minority votes. Yes, no, I don't want to misconstrue the numbers.
And within the city of Mobile.
Within the city of Mobile. But that didn't happen because of the numbers. So what was your perspective?
Oh, well, my perspective, I just have so many thoughts. I have so many thoughts because I never dreamed of being a district attorney. I never dreamed of being a prosecutor because historically, Black and brown communities, we have some negative relationships with law enforcement, and I didn't envision myself as being a part of that. I envisioned myself as being a fighter of that, an opponent of that, right? However, what prompted me to run was the current district attorney at the time. She was running, and no one was going to run against her for re-election. Okay. But then she decided at the very last minute of the qualifying deadline to retire, and basically announced that this person is going to be DA. And for those of us who understand the way government works and the way elections work, I'm like, you can't just pass the baton, because that's how people secure power. Absolutely. You know, they have the same mindset, the same policies, and they give it to the person that they've basically raised professionally. And I had a real problem with that because I wasn't happy with the criminal justice system, as it were, in Mobile County. We needed some major reform, and I knew that if that baton was passed, then that would just be a continuation. This is like a legacy of bad policy. And I was like, you know, somebody's got to challenge this. I'm like, so who gonna run? Somebody got to run, you know, against this. And everybody was like, well, I'm not doing it, you know. And God said, it's you. Like, look in the mirror. It's you that's gonna do it. You're gonna run. And I decided that, like, the day before the qualifying deadline, ran for office, and set about, before I even started to kiss babies and do all these things, I just buried myself for like a month studying the system, studying what progressive district attorneys across the country had done. I met many of them on Zoom, of course, but a DA who was running in Charlotte, a DA that was running in Portland, and other candidates across the country that had put policies into place or had come in behind some really conservative prosecutors, and how they had changed the landscape of the criminal justice system in that community. Philadelphia, for one, big. And so after I did that and I considered who I wanted Mobile County to be, I wanted it to be fair. I wanted it to be representative. I wanted it to make sense. I wanted it to be 21st century. I wanted there to be an acknowledgement that this black man here is in prison for something that this person in California could be making like millions of dollars. Like, it's not fair. There's a disparity. And we need to understand the rationale behind the persistence of some laws, so that we can set about like unrooting those, right? So not just a pardon, but full decriminalization because of the harm that has occurred in Black and brown communities from marijuana prosecution.
Yeah. So I got to stop you right there.
Sure.
So because you just said something that I feel like is really important. I don't know what it means. I want to know what it means. I'm sure it'll help other people. You said not just a pardon, but full decriminalization. What is the difference?
So a pardon is after the fact. That's like somebody has a conviction and you excuse that, or you allow them to expunge it, or whatever the case may have been. But when you consider the full range of how you get there, the disproportionate policing, the disproportionate prosecution, what that does to families when you take somebody away from their children and they can't go to work, and where those kids end up while this person's trying to figure out how to bond out of jail, or they're there for so long that they lose their job when they come out.
Yeah.
You know, there's harm to society. And so from the beginning, this shouldn't even be a criminal act. So decriminalizing marijuana is removing it from basically the criminal statutes. And not to say that all marijuana, you know, should be legal, but there has to be a reconciliation between the hurt that this law has caused, especially for low-level marijuana possession in a red state like Alabama.
Yeah.
So, but that's at the legislature, you know, that's at, I think the mayor may have considered it at one time to just allow it to be a ticketed offense, which is cool. But like a traffic ticket, when you pay it, you plead. People don't know that. You pay a ticket, you plead guilty.
You guilty to the traffic
Violation, yeah.
And you're saying when you get a marijuana charge, you said it's just like that.
It would have been.
Yeah.
They didn't go forward with it, but that was what they were considering, allowing it to be like a ticketable offense. You just pay the ticket. But that's a conviction because you paid it, you know. You would have to go and fight it. People are thinking, oh, that's easy. I don't have to be arrested. I can just pay this ticket. But now it's on your record.
Yes.
And there are all these implications now that, you know, impact us disproportionately, always.
Yes.
So
since we're on the topic of marijuana, cannabis to the legal term, I recently learned. Yes, cannabis. You opened up a CBD store.
I did.
Here in Mobile. How was that for you?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm a person, like, I just like to jump in and really do things myself. A lot of stress related to work, so I was always looking for something so I wouldn't have to, you know, go and take medication. There are some really relaxing components to CBD, and so I was looking for a supplement. And there were some issues with quality assurance and how some of the products were developed, where they were coming from. And I said, well, you know, why don't I open my own store, and then I can know full well where they come from, and then I can also help other people, because family members, people were like, where did you get that from? Can you got some more of that? I'm like, why would I send this to them? And I can provide it, you know? And so I took several trips to Denver and to Oakland, and I was in labs, and I was, you know, meeting with a lot of the manufacturers for the products that I ended up selling in my store. And quality assurance was a big part of our structure, to let the community know these things are safe, they've been tested, they're legal, and, you know, here's the science behind them. However, unfortunately, the market just got saturated. Like, you can buy CBD in a gas station now. And so once people started to not care as much about quality, I won't say we got pushed out, but I was still practicing law full time, and it just wasn't worth it to me, to keep going with a business that was not sustaining a profit. I was not losing money, but I was not sustaining a profit, and I needed to pivot.
Yes. Well, kudos to you for jumping out there,
Thank
for
you.
trying, you
Yes.
know, and for you can add that to your experience, right? And as far as entrepreneurship, have you ever done any other entrepreneur endeavors or ventures?
No, I've always had a book in my heart, that I've kind of started and stopped. A lot of pain to share.
Yeah.
And I think a part of me wants to protect and keep people that might otherwise be exposed. And I'm coming to learning that even though those things may be hurtful to some other people, they happened, and it's mine. It's mine to share, and it's my story. So that would probably be my next endeavor. And I do public speaking all the time. But the practice of law keeps me so busy.
Yes.
That's really just been my baby.
Yes.
The CBD store was cool, and I would not have been able to do it without my family. Like both of my sisters, my brother, my mom, they worked in the store. They were my employees.
Yes.
So it was cool to bond our family too, because when we would have employee meetings, we all siblings at the table. So that was cool. But my next venture is probably going to be a cookbook.
A cookbook.
Yes.
A cookbook. So, hold on before we go to cooking, because I'm ready. She ready. Owning your own law practice, that's an entrepreneur endeavor.
It is.
When you graduate law school, a lot like medical school or a lot of professional schools, you are not prepared to own your own practice.
Right.
It's not something they teach you, and so you have to go out here and learn or work for someone else. What will be your advice to those young lawyers who want to set out and possibly, I would even say, help their communities? Because I would guess that that's probably what a lot of them want to do.
Yeah. My advice would be, during those years when you're in school, like seek out internships, go back to the community where you want to work and sort of find a person who's doing what you would like to do, and just ask if you could shadow them, follow them, come to work with them. People ask me that all the time, and I'm always happy to help because everybody has a different road. Me personally, when I graduated from Vanderbilt, I went into teaching, so that's not really normal. Then I took the bar exam, and I never even applied to work at a law firm. I came out the gate, wanting to open my own practice and work for myself. But during that time, I've been working. I have worked for law firms. For short tenures, either to get experience or, to second chair a really serious case, or for the benefits. Like there are benefits to being an employee, insurance, retirement, and those things are kind of sort of hard to grab when you work for yourself, especially insurance in Alabama. So, having insurance when my son needed it for ABA therapy, that was critical for me. So I've had those times where I needed to be employable for other reasons outside of, just being an employee. But I do enjoy the practice of law. I do enjoy running my own practice, because if I need to go on a field trip all day with my son, I don't have to ask anybody about it.
That's right.
So I love that. I love not having to be told you have to take this client, because we may just not be a good fit, depending on who it is, or it may just not be a case that I want to take. And when I've been at law firms before, you don't really have a choice. Whatever comes in, if they have the money, that's the case you take. So there are pros and cons, and I've done both, and there's value to both.
And so I wanted to sort of circle back around to those very important issues you've mentioned that are happening in our communities from a legal perspective to the average, voter out here, citizen. I'll use that word. What I felt like is sometimes we go in there to vote, and it's like, am I supposed to just mark Democrat all the way down the ballot? Well, I don't feel like that, because it's giving away my power, and I'm not really making an educated decision here. And then when you vote just for the presidential run, it's like, yeah, I'm here. I know he at the top. I want to be more educated, and I fully understand I have to educate myself. What are some of those just dumb it down for us tips that you would say? How can we affect our local policy from where we are? With
So,
all the things on our plate, right? We're working, we're taking care of kids, we out here trying to survive.
right.
It's all the things.
Right. So some people, they don't, like you said, they're doing so much, they don't have the time or the luxury or don't take the time to do research before you go in. Optimally, that would be the best solution, would be to research, because this last time there were 11 amendments, and you needed to understand, because people were asking me, what am I supposed to vote yes on, no on? Like, I don't even know what this is. And what I tried to do as a candidate was like push that stuff out little by little, like, in layman's terms, this is what Amendment 1 means. If you vote yes, it means this. No, it means this. But researching beforehand is best. If you can't do that, when you go in, there are going to be people out there all the time to give you this information about this person, that person. And I'm going to say something I probably shouldn't say, but me, if I'm a voter and I'm not educated on who's on the ballot, I'm going to look for the black girl magic on the ballot. Like, I'm going to look for Moshae. That sounds like...
Come on, Jerica, Feleccia, all them.
That sounds like somebody that might be for me, because if you don't know, and that could hurt sometimes, but more often than not, we're on the ballot to represent our people.
Yeah.
So I would look for that as well. But it's weird because in Alabama we have primaries. And you have to declare if you're going to vote Democrat or if you're going to vote Republican. And I kind of that's before the general. So in the primaries, like when I ran, the general was in November and the primaries were in August.
Okay.
So I got in trouble as a candidate, and I didn't know this. I'm a strategic thinker. We have the Democratic ballot. For my precinct, there was one person on there because we just didn't have many candidates, right? One person on there. But on the Republican primary ballot, it's full of people. And because of the landscape in Mobile County, most often the way the numbers looked, whoever wins from the Republican primary might be the winner. So for example, for district court judge in Mobile County on the Republican primary ballot, there were 3 people, right? When you got to the general, there was no other person because there wasn't a Democratic candidate
that went against
them. So whoever won from that was going to be the next district court judge. And my thinking was, why am I going to go waste my vote over here when all the action is over here? I'm not a Republican, but I understand what's happening. I understand strategy. I understand who's going to be in place come November if things don't work out. So I voted in the Republican primary. My friend was running for office. I had her shirt on. When I went to vote, I had like my hair wrapped in this African hair wrap, and I came in and they were like, what ballot would you like? I said Republican. And they were like, you playing in our face.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm actually not. I'm voting strategically because this is where my vote matters more. Because this is where the games are being played. So I'm going to play over here. It's chess, not checkers. And people would go to vote Democrat, our people, and they would say to me, I couldn't vote for you. I didn't see your name. My name wasn't even on there because I was uncontested. So our ballot was empty. And so now what they want to do is you can't switch. You just have to declare and you have to like stay over there basically because the power is being distributed. Decisions are being made in the Republican primary because if you can get there, by the time you get to where I lost, you're the winner based on the numbers, based on voter turnout. So that's the part that probably should get the most energy that people really aren't paying attention to. And all of this plays into voter education.
Wow.
I know that's a lot.
Yes, it is. I'm like, wow. So it won't come to us. We have to be intentional.
Yes.
Just like our ancestors were, right?
Right.
To get us where we are today. That's what I take away from it. We have to be intentional. And together, it can just be a little bit put forward because together we can make a big movement. So
right.
Conversations like this, I'm hoping to contribute and help some people read about it. If they can't find Letitia, our, sister on the ballot,
Right. Right.
we can at least look more into what, how it works in our area. And the last thing that I'll end with is 3 tools or resources that you use that you want to share with someone watching that help you to remain successful.
Well, my first resource would be prayer. And I know that sounds cliche, and it's not like textbook getting on my knees. It's just talking to God. Sometimes in my head, not even out loud, before I make a decision, like, is this right for me? Is this leading to my purpose? I see like these strings being connected to an anchor, right? And then there are strings that aren't connected to anything. So is this a string that's connected to my anchor, or am I just like entangled with something? Do I need to cut this off? And so prayer and peace from God when I'm talking to him about different things has helped to guide me a lot of the way. The second thing I would say is to have a mentor. Like, I think it's very important, especially in your industry or your profession, to have a woman who has already been there, because our path is unique and it's different. And it's special. But a woman who believes in you and who is going to give you like hard truth and also speak your name in rooms that you may not have access to yet, that has been incredible for me. And I had like an invisible tribe. I say invisible because we would have these meetings that weren't publicized, that kind of towards the end of my campaign, where Black women, affluential Black women in Mobile, came together to put me up in their houses. We had these intimate conversations where they fed me, they gave me money, they poured into me. Older women who said, little sis, we are here for you. Like, we got you, we got your back. We're not gonna let harm come to you. We're gonna pray for you. And a lot of those women were mentors, so that was critical for me. And then the third thing is to just have like that family support. My why, when I look at my son, I'm looking up at him now because he's taller than me. But to just be reminded, like, they ask me what I do and who I do it for. Hey. It's Corey. So having that family, having the love that I have for them, being able to come home from a stressful day and to cook for them and to give them my love, it just really calms me and keeps me in place, keeps me grounded. When I'm missing things where I'm supposed to be, I have to remind myself, like, the campaign was just a sacrifice, because you can lose people when you're just after this thing, because your children need you, your partner needs you, and you're focused on winning and you're focused on raising money and all these things. And you have to remember, like, you're running for the people, but the people may not be paying attention to you, or they may vote for you and go on about their business or whatever, but your family, like, these people love you. They're going to be here. They deserve your love. They deserve your hugs, your best. They deserve your presence. So I want to be, I'm making up for a lot of lost time right now from last year with my family, but family is everything for me.
Knowing your why.
Yes.
That's what I mean, knowing your why.
Yes, knowing my why.
I love it.
Yeah.
This has been incredible.
It has been all day.
We're going to keep it going. Again, thank you so much. I hope that everyone got some gems. I know I did. And thank you so much, Moshae.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.